Bill Keith from Entertainment Weekly, and I'm not the person you came to see. Woo! But anyway, thank you for coming. I am from Entertainment Weekly. Prime Video and Entertainment Weekly are billing tonight a night of 1,000 laughs, so please give us a lot of those. Thank you to Amazon Studios. In addition to pulling together 3 fantastic comedians, they also have some awesome experiences in the hall that we can talk about a little bit more once the comedians have finished their sets. But rather than belaboring my time up here, I'm going to bring up our first comedian, Brooke Van Poppelen. She's a New York City-based comic, and she is the host of Hack My Life on True TV. Her first comedy album, Hard Feelings, was released by Sure Thing ATX in October, and it hit #1 on iTunes, so you may know her from there. She's from the Detroit suburbs, and she loves Coney dogs.
He was just like, all right, let me get the fuck out of here and you come up cold, bitch. Okay, great. It's fine. So now I guess I'm going to do a minute of hosting just to get us all there. How are we, LA? Welcome to this Amazon Entertainment Weekly event. You guys are lucky. I am in a hosting mood. I do host a TV show. I've got a full face of HD makeup on right now. I just came from set, so I look like a monster. Thank you. It's fun in LA. Do you know the difference? I don't know. I just moved here from the Midwest, and then thank you. I am from the Detroit burbs. I did 10 years time in New York City before coming here. Anyone else? Hey, I love it, I love it. This is the best coast for sure. I know. I mean, and it's just wonderful. You know, I haven't experienced an earthquake yet, so that's why I'm on your side. But anyways, was not affected by the fire, still cool with LA. So as soon as one of those things happens, I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to like the Berkshires in Massachusetts or something. Nothing ever happens there. So I just got back from some traveling, and fun fact about me, I do this little thing when I travel where I like to get blackout drunk before I pack. Anyone else do that? So then I arrive at my destination, and I open up my suitcase, and suddenly getting dressed has become like an episode of Chopped. I'm like, oh my God, these are extremely difficult items to work with. It's like suddenly Tim Gunn appears for no reason. I know that's a different reality show altogether, but go with it, this is my joke. He's like, all right, Brooke, you must put together an outfit for a job interview using one high heel, a bikini bottom, and a wool Navajo poncho. Make it work. Let me tell you something. When you show up for a job interview wearing one high heel, a bathing suit bottom, and a poncho, everyone's like, hello, self-starter. Way to think outside the box, you know. I know. So, just trying to let you know I got hired at the Container Store. Fuck yeah. It's great. Yes, it's all very good. So I've been, New York turned me into a drinking enthusiast. I like to call it that. Love to drink to make things go away. And it's great. But I do pay attention to studies that they put out in medical journals or Us Weekly or whatever. I don't care. Entertainment Weekly, anybody? I'm pandering to the crowd. But I love, I know, I'm like, that's my favorite show magazine. What are you? Anyways, are you old media? I don't remember. Anyways. Oh, I kid. I'm almost 40. I'm on your side, guys. Okay, please. I hate the future. I feel unsafe and unsure. No. But they'll put out studies in medical journals. You know, always talking about alcohol and whether it's heart healthy or not or whatever. And so apparently, a healthy ratio for an adult, you know, female, maybe my size, my age, my weight, is like to stay cool. 1 drink an hour while you're being social. But I don't know about you guys. I'll stay out sometimes for like 6 years. And then just because New York was terrible, I hated going home, but I stayed at that ratio. So I feel like that's fair. I've just been drunk, but responsibly for most of my life. Bless you, Mama. There's something in the air, right? Those Santa Ana winds. Steely Dan lyric. Okay, anyways. I love Steely Dan. Sorry, I'm not a millennial. I am proud to say I am not. Thank you. I know, I'm reading the room. You guys look older than me. Anyways, it's true. Oh, snap. It's true, though. Deal with it. So are you guys, I use GPS. Is that how you get around LA? Little noise? Yeah, I am not a native by any means. It's very, very confusing. So I don't use Waze, though. I'm done with Waze. Like, that, I can't. Waze is like, it's a little too shifty. The directions they give, it's like an automotive scavenger hunt. When you use Waze, it's always like, take San Fernando Road and wait behind a warehouse. A man named Darus will hand you an envelope. Don't ask what's in the envelope. Just drive. Have you seen the movie Baby Driver? Drive like that guy. And then you're like, I saved 2 minutes, but I've been indicted for drug trafficking. Waze is, yeah, a little nuts. I did do 23andMe testing. Thank you. Has anyone done the giving away your DNA? I'm not afraid. I haven't done anything illegal yet. Like, haven't. It was really cool. I did the 23andMe, and I was very, very surprised to find out I am like 0.2% Ashkenazi Jew. And thank you, right? All right. And I also have chlamydia. I was like, but I didn't, what? You know? I was so surprised. But I didn't have insurance for a long time, too, so you know how it is. I'm like, any time it's going to go to scientists or doctors, it's like, swab your mouth or whatever, but I was also like, why not one down here, too? Send it in the mail. See what I got. They're like, don't procreate. I love how they're like, don't eat 2 hours before you swab your mouth or whatever. Like someone's gonna get a result back that's like, we think you're a bran muffin? We don't know. So stupid. I'm in therapy, thank you. Everyone, make noise for therapy, yes. I suffer from panic and anxiety disorder. I am an advocate for mental health awareness, thank you, but we'll be funny about it right now. Okay, great. I have suffered for a long time from that, so I do go to therapy for other reasons too. It's just fun. And my therapist was like, you're codependent. And I was like, is that what we think? Are we sure? So she was helping me with my anxiety disorder, and here's the thing, my last 2 years in New York City, after almost 10 years in the city, I couldn't ride the subway anymore. Has anyone been on that death trap? Yes, you've been. Okay, so as a hardened New Yorker, like the mood you have to inhabit is just perpetual annoyance with everyone, just like aggravated that you're late. Like those are the emotions that get you through transit, you know, while you're commuting to work. And then one day, the bottom just dropped out, and I was like, this is so fucked! Why do we do this? Like, I just lost my mind, and I couldn't ride the train, so I had to get help for my panic attacks on the train. And my therapist, God bless her, she's like, all right, we're gonna try some new exercises for every time you ride the train. We're gonna work on some third-person affirmations. Repeat after me. Brooke is strong. Brooke has never died from a panic attack. Brooke always makes it through. And she's like, okay, great, you know, she's like, now next time you go down onto the train, you've got these affirmations in your little toolbox, you know, and when you're feeling a little off, you just remember what we talked about, and I want you to practice, and we'll talk about it next week. I was like, okay. And I was feeling really good going down into the subway, you know, every morning, it's fine, just going to face imminent death. But anyways, and I was on the train, I was like, okay, we got this. And then the doors close, and the people are all packed in there like a can of sardines. It's crazy. And it's like, you know, I get about a minute in, and then like it pops off. You're like, oh my God, here it goes, you know. And then I was like, fuck, don't freak out. We have tools. And I was like, Brooke is strong. Brooke has never died from a panic attack. But Brooke can't help but wonder if it's a little more crowded today than usual. And if that's safe. Brooke's wondering if the temperature, if I'm the only one, and here's who's hot. Is it this hot on the train? Oh God, Brooke's just gonna take off her jacket. Brooke's just gonna take off her jacket, and Brooke's just gonna start rocking back and forth and scratching at her throat. Oh God. People are looking at Brooke. It makes Brooke go deeper into Brooke's head when people look at Brooke. Brooke's freaking out, you know, and then, so I went back to report, you know, all of that, and I was like, oh my God, you were supposed to say that all, like, with your inside voice. And I didn't know, because I was like, I briefly went to jail, and they saw something, they said something. Does not help. It does not help that right now coffee's just gone off the rails. Can we agree, like, coffee's too strong? Can we cool it with cold brew? Nitro? It's too fucking much. What's wrong with coffee? I like being jazzy. That's where I cap it, okay? It's like you go to get, you're like, nitro? It's like in a scientific cask that's like controlled with air pressure, like, you keep like nuclear reactors in the same equipment. They're like, no, it's a great way to start the morning. I'm sorry, like 2 sips of coffee, I should not be able to commune with the dead. It's too much caffeine, all right? Doom feelings are for the evening, not the morning. It's a lot. I have been dating in LA. Thank you. Why are you clapping? What the fuck is wrong with you? This is terrible. Everyone was like, New York's the worst. I'm like, well, okay, we'll see. And I came here, and it's so cute, because when you land here, you start out so hopeful, right? You know, and all my friends, I was like, you're just bitter. They're like, no, there's really nobody. And I was like, stop it, I'll have beginner's luck, you know? And I was like, I met someone, they're like, yeah, let me guess, Doug, the welcome committee who dates everyone who lands here in LA, you know? It's like the one guy who's like waiting at the airport, you know, to let you down, but it's so ridiculous, you know, and the thing is, like, I don't even have, like, incredibly high standards. It's like, LA's broken me, and yet I dated a guy who got a staph infection from punching a mirror. I mean, that's the kind of dudes. I mean, my last long-term relationship, my boyfriend, for my birthday, registered me for a Bacon of the Month club. Okay, romance is real. And so I'm just out there trying to meet people, and LA was just, like, such a disaster that I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go dumpster diving in my home state, you know, if I'm gonna find a guy. And I met this guy, he owned a record store, which I was like, intriguing, business owner. His nickname is Bath Bucket because there was no running water or electricity in the record store he lived in. I know, and I was like, well, that's interesting. And I found out that he would go fill a bucket with water down the street at someone else's business, and then we'd come back and do like tops and tails in the bucket. And, you know, so just hitting the hot spots, and I still slept with him, and because it is so hard to meet people, and he fucking dumped me. I was like, but I have electricity and running water. What the fuck? Like, it's just hard out there. It is definitely a little rough. So I do have a little bit of a dating, you know, motto. I like them young. Thank you. Not in a creepy #MeToo way. By any stretch of the imagination. I like the young men. Make some noise, young men. Or stay silent if you feel scared. It's fine. I get it. I do like young guys, because I personally, you know, I'm older, I'm independent, and a guy who knows who he is, it's not for me. No thanks. I want to shape you, I want to mold you like clay, little dude. It's so cute, you're so stupid. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun being the older woman. My anthem for dating is PYT by Michael Jackson. We all know the lyrics. It's like, I want to love you, PYT, pretty young thing. You know the next verse is like, you need some fitted sheets. You do, young guys. And I don't know what happened. I just want to talk for one moment. Like, young men, I don't understand. Like, what is up with your bare serial killer mattress that you call a bed, okay? Like a gross, like, couch cushion for a pillow, like a moldy shower curtain for a comforter. What the fuck happened? You had a mother, like an overturned cardboard box, like, it's a nightstand. No, it's not. Thank you. I'm just saying, let me take you by the hand. We'll go to Bed Bath & Beyond. We're gonna make it happen. Oh, I just wanna, it's fun. It's like I run a little bit of a rescue program, you know? I was saying, like, I went back to Detroit, like, I'll go to the smaller cities, you know, like Portland or whatever, Chicago, and I'll pick out like a real scruffy little fella, and I'll bring him back to the big city, and I'll give him a bath and a haircut, and help him work on his resume. Usually after a few months, he starts to resent me, and I know because he pees on the furniture, but you gotta go back to where you're from. I'll get out of here in a second. I will. No, it's adorable though. I do love the ratio of like being an older independent woman with a career dating like the young broke artist dude. I'm sorry, you know. We're still working on equal pay for women, but right now this ratio, I'll take it. It's the closest we have. And I will. Fuck it. It's going to change, but right now it is very fun to date the young broke guy. It's so cute. Like, we'll go out to dinner, and, like, he'll go to pay, you know, but he'll do, like, that lady move where he's slow. He's like, I've got it. And then, like, he's like, oh, my wrist is weak. Like, he goes to get the check. He's like, oh, I missed, you know. Oh, you were too fast. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute, you tried. I'm like, next time, buddy, you know. But I don't want him to feel bad, so I'll like give him my credit card. I'll be like, do you want to take it up to the waitress like a big boy? And it's so cute. It's fun dating me. I'll get out of here on this. Right? If I can do I do, so being in LA now is absolutely like, you know, you're a fabulous city. You're very conventionally attractive. I love it, you know? And in New York, like, fine, a lot of freaks, a lot of great-looking people, whatever. The emphasis on fitness here is like, that's when I'm like, whoa, like in New York, it was just like, yay, anorexia. And, you know, or whatever, like eating disorders. Like, I'm thin, but it's like a weird New York sort of thin where I'm like, I look fucking great in a coat, you know? But like not on a beach sort of thing, like, because I subsist on a diet of cigarettes and rage. Like, it's a very, like, it doesn't look good on a beach. It's like very sad, and like I look like Leonard Cohen in a bikini. And no one wants to see that shit. So I suddenly was like, oh God, like how do you like get like this muscle, you know? Like in here, these things, traps, what are they called? I don't fucking know. I'm so clueless. And of course, the minute you ask anyone in LA, like, how do I get in shape? Everyone's like, well, let me tell you a thing or two, you know? First thing out of anyone's mouth is like, have you tried CrossFit? You know? I know. Here's the thing. Let's not totally hate on CrossFit. Okay, no, let's. And I will try CrossFit as long as people who do CrossFit can admit that they are basically the Scientologists of the workout world. Right? I mean, if you think about it, very weird. Have you seen those workouts in their weird culty black mat gym that they work out in? It's so bizarre. It's like L. Ron Hubbard himself came down from the mothership and designed some exercises for these fuckers. He's like, give me 50 burpees. Flip over this tractor tire. Stop talking to your family. Build me a ship. But you guys, you get like crazy in shape when you're scrubbing barnacles off an illegal tugboat while you evade taxes. So anyways, you guys enjoy the rest of the night. Thank you so much. I'm Brooke Van Poppelen.
Brooke Van Poppelen. I was gonna do a bit about working in print media, but I guess. Our next comedian coming up is Rhea Butcher, another Great Lakes native. Rhea comes from the mean streets of Akron, Ohio, my birthplace. You may know Rhea from the critically acclaimed series Take My Wife. Rhea continues to tour the country on the back-to-back tour with their wife, Cameron Esposito. And Rhea also has a new podcast called Three Swings, which is all about America's favorite pastime. Ladies and gentlemen, Rhea Butcher.
I'm sick, that's why I didn't shake Bill's hand. I'm not afraid of shaking hands. I will not sneeze. on anyone. Give it up for Brooke. Wasn't she wonderful? Hilarious. I heard a lot of people wooing for Akron, Ohio. Is the city of Akron, Ohio in attendance? That's pretty great. I am from Ohio originally, which I like to call the thinking man's Indiana. That is my home state. I actually have my home state tattooed on my arm right here, which I, of course, got when I did live in Indiana, so it's pretty perfect. I lived there for a year. And I went into a Home Depot one day, because honestly, when am I not shopping at Home Depot is really the question. And I handed my credit card to the cashier, and she saw my tattoo, and she goes, "Is that a state?" And I was like, "Yes." She thought for a second, and she said, "Is that Indiana?" And I was like, "I gotta get out of Indiana." And then I gotta come back and save Indiana! We need to help them, everyone. I have been traveling. I did pick up a cold. I've been like in Pennsylvania. I've been driving through like rural United States on the East Coast and the Midwest. And I gotta say, I saw a lot less Confederate flags than I thought I was gonna see. But I also saw way more Confederate flags than I thought I was gonna see. The correct number is always 0 for that, I would say. And in rural America, we have switched back to the gigantic flag, just a gigantic American flag that could fit in this room and blanket everyone underneath it. I forgot what size queens we are in the rural states. I just wanted to tell you all that so you're aware it's not really a joke. But I was in Kansas City and I picked up a cold checking into a hotel because the woman checking me in was like, "Oh my God, I'm sick!" And I was like, "Please go away!" But she couldn't, because that was her job and that was my home now, so I had nowhere to go. But when I got to the hotel, I had driven from St. Louis to Kansas City, and that is a 3.5-hour drive, which I was happy to do. But given my sort of, genderless guitar tech for the Lumineers outfit, that I wear, I packed a lunch and I did not stop for bathroom breaks along the way. And so when I got to Kansas City, I was basically microdosing water the whole time, but it did fill me up. And so when I got to Kansas City, I was like, "I'll pee at the hotel. It's perfect, just park and then you can pee." So I run into the hotel lobby, and if you're someone that looks like me, you're very attuned to public restrooms, because women's public restrooms have sort of been my nom. Just very difficult to go in and out of those restrooms. I usually go into a women's public restroom. I go down with my eyes just straight down to the floor, just right into the toilet, right back out. I do wash my hands though. And sometimes when I'm in a women's public restroom, another person will come into that restroom and they'll see me and they'll do what I like to call the double door check, which is they walk in and go, they're looking for that little triangle dress. They're not gonna find it. No, no, no. So I'm very attuned to public restrooms, and when I got to this hotel lobby, I walked up to the restroom that was in there, and I could not tell if it was a multi-unit restroom or if it was a onesie. And usually I can tell from the outside, so I was like, well, you just gotta test the door handle. So I pushed it, it was open, I thought, multi-unit, and then someone went, "No!" And then I went, "Onesie!" I just immediately started apologizing profusely. But in the moment that I had cracked the door open, I could see that it was in fact a onesie. There were multiple people in there, and they were having some sort of a spa day. They had just laid out all of their stuff, were chatting it up. After they closed the door, then they turned the water on so that I couldn't hear them, but I could absolutely hear them talking about their whatever they were talking about. And so I'm just standing outside going like, "I've gotta pee! Please do not let these women make me go in the men's restroom." And sure enough, they absolutely did. And so I jammed into the men's restroom and was like, "I don't know how you guys go in there." I mean, I do know how you go in there. You just go in there and pee on everything, it seems like. I feel like you could just make a men's restroom that's just a gutter on a floor, and you would just walk through and have a door on the other side, and you just leave. Oh, the spotlight's following me. I should be taking up more space. So I went in that bathroom, and then I came out furious to go check in to the hotel, and I come back, and I tell the woman who is the manager on duty, I was like, somebody is camped out in your bathroom in there. And she was like, well, I'll take care of it. I'll look into that. And she starts checking me in, and I forget my rage momentarily. We start checking in, and then I hear the door open, and like two, like just fancy feminine white blonde women come out of the bathroom, and I look at them, and then I look back at the clerk who happens to be a black woman, and we both just went. I don't know what she was thinking, but I like it. I travel a lot for work. It can be difficult sometimes. Recently, I was going through the TSA security, and I got into that little machine, you know, that big round thing. It sort of looks like a revolving door, you know, that like another piece of machinery that human beings still, after 100 years, do not know how it operates. I used to work in the Sears Tower, and I had to leave through a revolving door every day. And tourists would come in through those doors, not knowing that that wasn't the sky deck because it wasn't properly signed. No one could see it. And so every day I'd have to rush out of the building to try to not, like, just have tourists, like, magnet themselves behind me in the revolving door, and then we just would bunny hop together. As, like, full-blown adults who don't understand how a very simple machine works. And the little, like, Trivial Pursuit pie square that we were in was too tiny, and I couldn't even shoot him any dirty looks. But I was traveling through the TSA, and I got into that machine, and I stood on it, and I looked up, and then another human being got into the machine with me. Like, could you imagine standing and looking at that thing and being like, yeah, that's 2 at a time, definitely. If I know anything about TSA security, is they just want to get this done, just as many people at a time. That is a 2-person machine, absolutely. He just like shadow puppeted his body in there on top of mine. And I was like, sir, there's only 1 set of footprints in here. And he was like, that's because I'm on your shoulders. One person like that. In the front. I do like to travel a lot. I use Lyft a lot. Anybody use Lyft? Yes! I love using Lyfts. I love using Lyfts because it's a conversation I get to pay for. I can rate that conversation. I can tip that conversation. I like to talk in Lyfts. I don't understand people who don't talk in Lyfts. Now, if you have social anxiety, I'm not talking to you, but I am talking to the rest of you that don't. What's up with you that you silently get into a Lyft in the back seat and just go, mush peasant, take me away! How's my day going? What is this, Trader Joe's? Let's go! Also, like 5 years ago, we were all like, Craigslist is going to murder you! And now we're like, who are you? Yeah, I'll get in your car. I don't give a shit. Whatever. Craig. Can't talk to you, though. I like to talk to people in Lyfts. I have had full friendships in Lyfts, beginning, middle, end. Sometimes I'll get out of that car and just be like, Janelle, that daughter of yours is gonna be president one day. Chad, I would wish you good luck on that CPA test, buddy, but I know you don't need it. Thank you for the ride. I also like to sit in the front. What? I do. I always ask first, I ask permission, and I like to ask Vincent D'Onofrio style. I just walk up and say, excuse me. Do you mind if I sit in the front? No criminal intent here. Now you get it. I was in New York last week, and I forgot that I was in New York because I ordered a Lyft, and I pulled on the door handle, and it was locked. And then I pulled on it again, and I sat in the front seat with my bag, and I sat down, and I was like, hello! And then the driver did not look at me. He put the information in, just started driving, and goes, so do you always sit in the front? And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I forgot to ask you Vincent D'Onofrio style. No criminal intent here. Can I sit in the front? Is that okay? He was like, I guess. That was the end of our conversation. I'd like to tell you guys my favorite Lyft ride of recent years. Recently, I called a Lyft. I had just purchased some vegan ice cream for my wife. 2 things that might be illegal in 2 years. Let's find out, shall we? That was a funny laugh. So I got into the Lyft. I sat down in the front. Driver turns to me. Driver goes, hello, sir. How's your evening going? Now, I used to just say into a human being's face, I'm a woman, whenever they called me sir. But my own gender identity is sort of evolving. I am a non-binary person these days. I also consider myself to still relate to women. I relate to them politically. I used to be one. You understand? It's like rings on a tree. I feel like we're the things we were, the things we're going to be, the things we currently are. We're all just complicated people, complex, interesting people. Also, he's just trying to get an answer right to a question that was never correct to begin with. You see, it was never correct to begin with because it's just made up. It's like when people are like, you know that word Haagen-Dazs? That's not a real word. I'm always like, oh yeah? Like the other real words that were not made up at some point? Plus, he's just trying to put me in 2 boxes. All we have is just 2 boxes. There's only 2 boxes, only 2 boxes. Some people are like, I fit in this box. This is a good box for me. And some people are like, you put me in this box, but I'm actually this box. And some people are like, you know what, I kind of feel like both boxes. And some people are like, you know what, I don't feel like either box. And some people are like, I want to pick up the boxes. And some people are like, I want to stack the boxes up. And other people are like, I want to catch the boxes on fire. My point is, there's a lot of people for just 2 boxes. So, in that moment, I realized he was just trying to be kind to me, and I felt, I guess, particularly safe in that Lyft ride. It was also going to be a rather short one, and I felt like if I needed to, I could probably Lady Bird out of there. So I decided to just like roll with it, and so I just responded with, pretty good, how about yours? And he goes, sir, it's going fantastic. And I went, holy shit, this is going a lot further than it usually does. Could we pull over? Could I apply for a job real quick? So we kept driving, and then he said, sir, can I ask you a question? And I said, absolutely. And he was like, sir. He was very, very respectful. He was like, sir, do you like jazz? And I was like, yeah, actually I do. I have a very old car radio in my car, and I just keep it locked to the jazz station all the time. It keeps my blood pressure down, and then I don't road rage as much, you understand? And also, I didn't really listen to jazz before, wasn't really around me, so it's all new to me, fresh, you know? Yeah, I like jazz, And he goes, sir, that's wonderful. Keeps driving. Then he goes, sir, can I ask you another question? And I was like, please, please do. He goes, sir, do you like Frank Sinatra? And I was like, do I like Frank Sinatra? It's Frank Sinatra. Of course I like Frank Sinatra. And he goes, sir, you're a wonderful man. You're a great, great man. And I was like, fuck yeah, I am. Absolutely. And that is a much better version of La La Land than you've ever seen in your entire life. Thank you. I wanted to tell y'all like a whole tampon thing, and I didn't even get to it. This person is very upset about that. I guess I'll just tell you this. I was at the airport, and I did not have tampons when I got my period, which is an awful position to be in, but I never know when it's coming because most of my life is as a 13-year-old boy. So then eventually I get my period and I go, oh, I'm not a 13-year-old boy. Reminds me. So I wasn't prepared for it because I never think it's happening. I didn't bring any tampons with me. I was like, you should carry these with you all the time. Maybe if you just got like a bag or something that you carry on your shoulder, like kind of small, like, damn it, that's a purse. So I had to buy tampons at the airport. I walked up to the store. I bought them. They were $60. And also, I couldn't buy my brand. I am an OB man, and I have been for a long time. And this is usually the time at one of my shows when somebody stands up in the back and goes, "Try a Diva Cup!" And look, I have. But OB tampons were the Diva Cup of their time. If you told somebody that you used OB tampons, they looked at you and said, "Oh, God, what do you live in the woods?" There's more to that, but you'll just have to see it another time. It was worth it, I think. I have one last thing to tell you, and it's funny, and it's not about tampons. And then you have another amazing comedian who's also one of my favorites. This show is really wonderful because everybody's great on it, including me. So I'll just leave you all with this thought that I've just been, whenever I'm feeling stressed or sad or getting some anxiety, this is just like a fun thought that I go to in my own brain to calm myself down and just take myself out of my anxiety or sadness or anger or whatever. I just like to think this thought, so maybe it'll help you in your lives. So I like to think this. Doesn't it seem like toads are just elderly frogs? Thanks, I've been Rhea Butcher.
Rhea Butcher. And there went my OB set. Before I bring up our next comedian, I want to remind everyone that after this is over, there will be more free food and drink and a lot of cool experiences throughout the space here that I'll tell you about after Nicole Byer comes up here. Nicole just told me to tell you that she's funny and a weirdo, but I will also remind you that you know her from the Netflix reality baking series Nailed It, and of course, loosely, exactly Nicole. Nicole Byer.
What the fuck is this? What are we doing? Who knows? I got a new wig. Thank you. And if you want to attack me, you truly can. I can't see shit from the side. Truly. Also, like, beware if I'm making a right turn. I can't see you. Anyway, I've been traveling and I just went to Cincinnati. Has anyone ever been to Cincinnati? Good, no one sounds too excited. You're correct, fuck Cincinnati. I don't like it there. I also didn't know that the Cincinnati airport is actually in Kentucky. That's not Cincinnati! I saw this welcome to Ohio sign and I was just like, where the fuck did I fly into? Where am I? And then for whatever reason, my GPS had me on all these back roads, like legit dirt paths. And all I could think of was, is this the scenic tour of where I'm gonna get hate crimed? Was it too real for some of you white people? Too real? And as I'm on this back road pondering my mortality, I came across this big gray boarded up house that said free watermelon. And I said, mm-mm. Mm-mm. Free watermelon? That's a trap for black people. Free watermelon? And I was like, let me get a slice. I don't know if you guys heard, but 2 years ago, the Mall of America had a black Santa, and people were mad. How can you be mad that they assigned an ethnicity to a person that doesn't exist? We live in the future. You could be any color you want. We got an orange president. You could be any color you want. But I guess if you really think about it, Santa is a white guy. I mean, he owns slaves. You say, oh, show me an elf W-2. They weren't getting paid. hell, so Mrs. Claus has to stay inside while he goes out and eats and drinks another bitch's milk and cookies? He works one day a year and takes credit for everything? If you're a white guy who didn't laugh at that, you gotta go home and reflect, because that's the world we're living in. Great, now you guys know I'm black. I want to tell you guys something else. I'm a fat lady. And I just want you guys to know that I know that you know. And sometimes I say that to audiences and they immediately feel bad for me. They're like, oh no, she knows. But truly, yeah, I know, and I am okay with it. I am fine being a fat lady. I will literally steal your dinner, lie about it, and take you out to a second dinner. I think the real issue is I'm dishonest and a little bit of a hamburglar. There's such a huge double standard talking about weight in comedy. A man can get on stage, assert himself, and say, I haven't seen my dick in a year. And nobody feels bad for him. Not one person. Everyone goes, tee hee hee. It's funny because he's fat. But the minute I get on stage and I say, I haven't seen my pussy in a year, everyone goes, oh no. Oh no. Oh no, she's just been putting her hands in the folds. Oh no. Just imagine me at home being like, why aren't I coming? Where is it? You don't look amused. I'm so sorry that you have to be here for this. I apologize, but I'm not going to change my set. Good sport. You haven't walked out. Okay. Here's a question. Why is our weight on our driver's licenses? In LA, your weight is on your driver's license. Why does the government need to know how fat I'm getting? Also, who's arguing with me? My driver's license says 150 pounds. I haven't been 150 pounds since 4th grade, but I put it on that piece of paper, I handed it to Leah at the DMV, she looked at the paper, she looked at me. She looked at the paper, she looked at me. And I was just like, I dare you! I dare you to say something! And if you do, you better have a scale for me to step on. When I get it renewed, I'm gonna put 90 pounds. I just want to get pulled over and have the officer look at my ID and say, ma'am, where's the rest of this equation? Here's another question. Why are we so nice to pregnant women? They're just fat women. We both made a choice to be that big. And before you say, Nicole, no, they're different. There's a baby inside. They're bringing life into this world. No, you're wrong. We're both carrying the weight of some mistakes. And pregnant ladies, they get all the compliments. People look at them and say, oh my God, you're glowing. But when people look at me, they go, Nicole, how are you sweating? You're sitting and the air is on. I have a little bit of a cough. I call it my athlete's cough because I played basketball once and my body was like, stop. You ever notice how pregnant ladies are always trying to get you to touch their stomachs? They're always, can you feel him? Can you feel him kicking? How come I can't walk around and go, can you feel it? Can you feel it? It's a spicy chicken sandwich. Can you feel it digesting? This is my bundle of joy! And it's gonna grow up to be a piece of shit, much like your baby! I hate babies! They're stupid! You can teach them everything! I hate them the most on an airplane! How come a baby can be in kidding, but I'm not. Okay. I was on the Steve Harvey show recently, thank you, and his teeth are just as big as you think they are. I was on a show entitled The Curvy Hour, so there was a panel of fat ladies, an audience of fat ladies, and we spent an hour going, we're okay, and that was very funny to me. I was like, well, I'm here for this. And then one of the topics was how fat women will only fuck with the lights off, they won't fuck with the lights on. I heard that, and I was like, wait, what? What? That don't make no sense. Why are you turning the lights off? It's not like you meet a man, get him home in your room, get him on your bed, you turn off the lights, he starts touching you, and he's just like, oh my God, oh, you're so thin. Oh, I thought I was gonna fuck that fat bitch I came home with. You're not thinner in the dark. If we were thinner in the dark, we would live in the dark. Also, ladies and some gentlemen, it's a safety concern. You gotta make sure that dick ain't funky. You gotta keep the lights on because you will be devastated to find out that it wasn't ribbed for your pleasure but riddled with herpes. Nobody likes that part of the joke because it's tough to swallow. I'm sorry. I feel like if I was your grandchild, you'd be like, why? You're terrible. Anywho. Okay, as a fat lady, okay, does anyone here wear Spanx? Why? Why? If you don't know what Spanx are, they're shapewear that doesn't make you smaller, they just make you smoother. No one has ever looked at me and said, Nicole, you look great and smooth. I feel like the invention of Spanx is society being like, we're okay with your size, just not your texture. And then you wear them all night, they're very tight, and you finally get to take them off and you become like a live-action Little Mermaid. You know when Ursula turns back into the octopus, and her tentacles are just falling out? Instead you're peeling it down, your fat is just falling out. And your body's just like, poor unfortunate soul, so tight, can't breathe. I'll do one more fat joke and I'll move on. I hate it when people ask me if I'm hungry, because the answer is always, come on now. And like, God forbid you say you're starving, God forbid. People are always like, Nicole, you're not starving. Children in Africa are starving. And I'm just like, no, bitch, I'm starving, they're dying. It's true, they're past peckish. So, I travel a lot. I spend a lot of time in airports and on airplanes. And I don't want to generalize or stereotype, but all male flight attendants are gay. All of them. Every single last one of them. You're like, oh, excuse me, can I have a pillow? And they're like, you're just like, oh my God, did you just snap at me? It is almost as if someone said to them when they were a little boy, baby, you too much for this world. You gotta go to the sky. Okay. Someone has a great laugh over here. Sounds like you're in a cave. It was like, I love it. That was fun. You guys are a great crowd. Yeah, clap for yourselves. We don't clap for ourselves enough. Anyway, okay, I'll leave you with this. How do I categorize this story? It's my rock bottom. So, I usually wear a nameplate necklace that says my name, Nicole. It's only 6 letters long. My best friend had it made for me in Brooklyn. It takes up literally my whole chest. The jeweler was like, are you sure you want it that big? She was like, yeah, I have a very tacky friend. I know what I look like when I leave the house. So anyway, I'm wearing this necklace, and I'm on a flight, and the flight attendant goes, "Oh, you must be Nicole." I said, "Oh, yes, my necklace." He goes, "No, I know you from that show, Girl Code." And I was like, "Oh, cool, getting recognized, I love it." And then he says, "Do you want a drink?" Because I was sitting in economy, don't tell nobody. And I said, "Yes, please, I'll have a vodka soda." So he says, "I got you, I got you, I got you." I was like, "Then go get it." What are we doing? So he goes and he brings me 3 of those airplane bottles of vodka and a splash of soda. I was like, game on. And then I drink it, and he comes back around. He says, "Do you want another?" I say, "Yes, please." So he comes back around. He brings me 3 more, no soda. And I was like, "Yes, Lord Jesus." So then I drink that. He comes back around. He says, "Do you want another?" And I said, "I don't know how to say no." So he brings me 3 more. If you nice, fun people are counting, that is how many? You weren't even listening. You checked out. It's okay. I still love you. So yes, you're correct. 9 of those airplane bottles of vodka on a 4.5-hour red eye. Everyone is sleeping, and I am the drunkest I have ever been. I was sitting in my seat, and all I could think of was, what if I roll around in the aisle? Imagine I got out of my seat, laid down, and rolled around in the aisle. What would that phone call be? This big black bitch won't sit down? But then I was like, ooh, I know what I'll do instead. I'll watch Back to the Future. So I watched Back to the Future like I had never seen it before. I was knee-slapping, tee-hee-heeing. I said, DeLorean, that's a black lady's name. The man next to me was like, shh, and I said, do you like Christopher Lloyd? He was like, shut the fuck up. So then we land in New York at 7 a.m. and Shake Shack is open. So I say to no one, Jesus loves his little baby. Because I felt like I had been blessed. And I stumble up to the counter and place my order. The man behind the counter says, you must be Nicole. I responded with, you know who I am because I'm famous. That's not something famous people have to say. Also, he can read my necklace, so he gives me my food to go, his choice, not mine. And I finished terrorizing the Shake Shack, and I'm stumbling through JFK with this bag of food, and I was like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom, I gotta pee. So I bring my food with me to the bathroom, and I start peeing. You know what? I like you guys so much. Let's get real. I was taking a shit. And then as I was shitting, I was like, ooh, this food smells so good, so I start eating it. I'm single. And then I realize what I'm doing, so I start crying. So now I'm crying, eating a burger, taking a shit. And then I was like, I know what I'll do to make myself feel better. I sing myself a song. So I start singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow while I'm crying, eating a burger, taking a shit. And I look down and I see a pair of feet. And instead of shutting the whole thing down, I knocked on the partition. And I said, excuse me, I'm not normally like this. My athlete's coughed. Then that woman, who is a normal human adult woman, said nothing. And then I realized this bathroom is filled with women moving very slowly. They're like, I don't know what the fuck is behind that door. No, I don't know what kind of monster that is. Gloria, I will miss my flight to see whatever the fuck that is. So I just said out loud to Gloria and her friends, I was like, hey, I'm okay. And the moral of that story is, there ain't one. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. I've been Nicole Byer.